Yes, karibuni. Happy New Year and I hope mwaka wenu umeanza vizuri. Eh, Leo tu nimekuja hapa sababu in my own investigation kuna mambo nimesikia na nimesema lazima nikuje nigawanye na nyinyi. Habari imevuja. So nataka nikuaibia tu tusiri kidogo. Habari imevunja. And now it is known that Mr. William Ruto is scared to the core. Habari ndio hiyo. Habari imevunja. Vile watu wa Tanzania wanasemanga. Habari imevunja. Habari imevunja. Mr. William Ruto is scared to the core. Na bwana William Ruto ametuma vikaragosi wao na ameambia watu wake wa make sure ya kwamba upinzani usishikane. Sababu Ruto anasema hivi. Hii ni habari iliyovunja, habari ya mwaka mpya. Ruto anaambia vikaragosi wake, hawa watu wa upinzani wakishikana, mimi kwa mapema na kwa hali, mimi hata hiyo uchaguzi sifanyi. So the only embedded hope ya Ruto, karibu sana Paul Kisianga, the only hope ya Ruto, na hii ni very credible information, ameambia vikaragosi wake wote, you make sure that the united opposition does not unite. Sijui kama muko na hiyo habari bwana Kisianga. Ruto anasema hii mwaka hawa watu wanajifanya united opposition, wasijaribu kushikana. Na Ruto ametuma maambasada wake wote katika kambu zetu zote. Kuna watu wametumwa Kamatiangi, kuna watu wametumwa kwa Karonzo, na kuna watu wako wa Munyoro. Elements of deceit ku make sure hao watu wasishikane, wasiongee lugha moja. Sababu hile kitu Ruto anaogopa saa hii ni kitu inaitwa euphoria creation by unity of purpose. Sababu hakuna vile hawa watu wote wa upinzani watashikana na Ruto wabaki tena, sababu hakuna kitu wamefanya. So Ruto is banking on confusion, and that is what he is saying. Hawa watu hawana plan, ni tactic. Ati hawa watu hawana plan ili Wakenya wa lose hope na united opposition. Sasa ametumana into our camps. So mukae mukijua hivyo. So kwa hali na mapema Ruto amesema atatumia pesa. So forget about ile pesa amekuwa akitumia kununua watu wakati wa hizi by election. Pesa ya Ruto saa hii huu mwaka is to make sure that united opposition does not unite. Na pesa itamwagwa hili kukuwe na masauti tofauti. Na ndio najaribu kusema sasa, the united opposition, the principles, lazima waanzie kujua kile wamepangiwa hapa mbele. Pesa inamwagwa ya kuleta disunity. Sijui kama mko na habari ya hiyo. So kwa hali na mapema in the history of Kenya, for the first time, disunity is going to be financed to make sure that hawa watu hawaongei kitu moja, ni pesa itatumika. Na kwa mapema na kwa hali ni vizuri wajue vile Ruto anapanga. So wajue ya kwamba any person who is not talking about unity of these guys, mtu yote anaanzia kusema vitu zingine, mwanzie kujua huyo ni mtu ya kasongo. Na lazima hii united opposition kwa mapema na kwa hali, lazima waketi chini na wajue vile wataanzia kufanya kazi pamoja, ili hata zile efforts Kasongo atajaribu kufanya za kutumia pesa kuwatenganisha, akuta wameshikana kama kitu ingine. So money is being poured to finance disunity. Mimi sijui kama mko na hiyo habari. Pesa inatumika kutenganisha watu. Haya, nyinyi kaeni hapo tu. Pesa inatumika, pesa inamwagwa kutenganisha watu wasikae kitu kimoja, Watu wa Coast watakuwa wanaongea sauti tofauti, na watu wa Western watakuwa wanaongea sauti tofauti. Na mkitaka kujua the concept of disunity and how it is working, look at Luo Nyanza. Luo Nyanza is being confused with money and mutakaa kwa serikali. So whatever is, so because Ruto ameambiwa hivi na vikaragosi wake, sababu mimi nawaambia ile vitu inatendeka kwa ground. Ruto ameambiwa na vikaragosi wake, umetoboa kudisorient watu wa Luo Nyanza. Hii formula yako ya Luo Nyanza inafanya kazi. Kwa nini hii formula ya Luo Nyanza usimwage kila pahali? Okay, Paul Kisianga, that one I agree, but ndio najaribu kusema sasa, what we are having is disunity is going to be financed. Pesa itamwagwa ku make sure hawa watu hawakubaliani. Utakuwa unasikia kuna hata watu wa Matiang'i wanasema vitu tofauti, kuna watu wa Gachagua wanasema vitu tofauti, na kuna watu wa Kalonzo wanasema vitu tofauti. Divide and rule tactic ndio Ruto analeta 2027 2026. Makubwa haya. So hiyo ndio ile siri. So siri imevuja, siri yake imevuja. Na ujue Ruto ni jamaa very predictable, na Ruto ni jamaa wa kuruhusu hope haraka na mapema, akijua ya kwamba hapa ni kama hawa watu kulingana na vile wamejiring fence na vile hawa watu wamewekea vizingiti hapa sitoboi. Ruto ni mtu wa kuruhusu hope mapema sana. Ruto anapatanga nguvu akiona ni kama mnaanzia kumuogopa. So Ruto, tukifika pahali ambako tumeshikana haraka na mapema na tuko sawa, tunaongea kitu moja na all the one time movement is a momentum, hafanyi chochote. You lose hope. Even his intention of wanting to still vote, hata jaribu. In fact, kama kuna mtu hata anaweza hana assurity ya kugombea hii kiti ni Ruto. Na mlisikia hata Martha Karua akisema the other day, alisema Ruto is not even assured of the next day. So Ruto ni wale watu ambao they pretend to be very strong, but in reality he is handling a very weak government. Yeah, so Paul Kisianga lazima tuanzie kujua kwa haraka na mapema. Disunity is going to be financed. And that is my topic today. So ukianzia kuona ni kama mtu aongee lugha yetu, hujue hiyo ndile pesa ya disunity. Ruto is going to finance disunity in the opposition. Sababu hiyo ndile kandi imebaki peke yake. Kila kitu imekataa. Including hata hii uongo yake ya Singapore, nasikia ni kama watu wamemuonea 18 already. Watu wamemuonea 18. So karibuni kwa show kwa haraka na mapema, ili tupige show, alafu wacha nirushie watu link. So kwa haraka na mapema lazima tujue hawa watu wanatupangiaje bwana. Siku hizi hata Kiprila haonekani, ama Kiprila ni wale watu wamepoteza matumaini. Yeah, Stone PK karibu sana. I hope tuliachana hapa masaa ya jioni jana. I hope you have started your new year well. Kwa haraka na mapema leo tuna discuss about how Mr. William Ruto is designing disunity by using money. So disunity Kenya itatumika pesa. So Ruto analeta pesa kutawanya watu mlembe na, and this is what is happening from his inner circles, bwana Stone PK. Wanasema their script imefanya kazi, sababu already Ruto ametumia pesa kwa Wajaluo and there is disunity there. So wanasema sasa hii mwaka ya 2026 ni kile kinafanyika kwa Wajaluo kifanywa Kenya mzima. Can you react, Stone PK, to that? Do you think hiyo disunity ambayo imefanywa Ujaluoni imekuwa facilitated na pesa, and he thinks that one has worked and they will want to do it in Ukambani, he will want to do it in Mlima Kenya and he will want to do it in Molembe. Do you think your script ya Luo Nyanza is a complete pilot, and now it can be engineered everywhere? Can you react about that, Stone? Because that is what they are saying in their inner circles. Tumetoboa kumalizia Wajaluo na pesa hii, sasa tuendeleze. React.
Thank you, Njeru, and happy new year to everyone who are watching us, and I hope all goes well. For me, I would tell Kenyans that we bury 2025. Actually, we should say fare thee well 2025. And when we say fare thee well 2025, then we are talking of a rebirth of a new year. Rebirth meaning we would want to have a year that has no traces of the already dead one. Other than saying tumeruka mwaka and goodbye to 2025, we should say bury 2025 and 2024. Actually, we should bury the years of UDA in power, because that is the worst moment that this country is experiencing. Now, to come to your question, we are talking of using money. Let's simply call it corruption. That Ruto is ready to corrupt people because money is everything. And it has worked out well for him and even for the world over. Pesa ndio mvunja mlima. So Kenyans are left to decide, will the majority fall into that trick? Will the majority fall into corruption? Or what will happen? Because wakikubali, yeah, then that is it. But I'm so happy that Nyanza is not as we think. And I'll share a clip, a small clip you play. There is a narration that is being propagated at Nyanza imeenda. I'm not buying that. It is a few guys, beginning with Raila, that were bought over. I know Raila followers are still very stark, saying that there is no way that Raila would have been corrupted or bribed. Yeah, but I remain standing and saying that Raila fell into the deals. It is the deals that were changing hands. Hakunanga chabure Kenya. Kuna. You remember even when Ruto was joining Uhuru during 2020, 2017 or something like that, 2013, when they were accused and they were going to Hague, there is money that changed hands. Uhuru had to pay so much money to Ruto for them to join forces so that they could escape the guillotine at ICC. Again, we all say, oh, you have no proof, you have no proof, you have no proof. That's another tiring, whatever. You will never have proof of corruption. You will never have watu wakiprove Njiru alipokea pesa ya corruption. Hiyo inakuanga ngumu. The only proof they have is when is a hated fish. Mtu ambaye amechukiwa na system, huyo ndiye anakuwa exposed. The only time we would also have evidence ya corruption probably kidogo ilikuwa during Kibaki's time. The kind of system we have in Kenya, you cannot have evidence when money is changing hand. Right now, they are saying hakuna pesa there was no bribery in the recent by-elections. Now that narrative has been bought. I mean, and I want us today, we can play some of those clips. Pesa ikigawanyo. What was that money for? Now the scapegoat is that serikali ilitoa pesa na opposition pia walikuwa wanapeana pesa. Look at that. So do two wrongs make a right? Because you are corrupt, I'm corrupt. That justifies corruption. We are a sick country. When we talk of Nyanza, yes, the few leaders who are singing the choir have been bought, beginning with the Raila, as I said. Okay, Raila did not just say he's joining broad-based government for the sake of it. And when we talk of deals coming, it doesn't necessarily mean that ni pesa zilibebwa na magunia akapelekewa. No, there are many deals, and you will also listen to. You will play another interview that was latest. Kibichu. They are all confirming that Ruto won. Ruto won elections. That Ruto was properly elected. I would expect anybody in Kenya today who has a business up and alikuwa kwa former government, he would not want to antagonize his life. He would really toe the line, and that is what Ruto is using to subdue the so-called Kenyans who fear, because he's instilling fear. Talk against him, you are done. Either your business will be done and all that. So he's selling fear.
So maybe Stony PK, as a purpose of confirmation, is it possible for you to give us like the undertone script of why somebody like Kebisho thinks Ruto won, while we had so many greyers, including that election going to the Supreme Court for determination?
He's protecting himself, period. He has business, he has to survive after job nini. Ako na kabiashara kake, unataka aseme aje? Opposite. Biashara ikuja ifinywe. He is subdued. As simple as that, Njiro, as simple as it may sound. He can't afford to say anything negative. Atafinywa makei mpaka ataitana. So obvious. So you have to say, to pretend and give some narratives hapo ati alishinda. I don't know whether you watched that interview.
Ni ile interview alifanya like I think before Christmas 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah, ile alikuwa kwa hoteli yake Havai. Ile walifanya na TV 47.
Yeah, I have not listened to him, but I will try to see if we can play portions of it.
I have
for
it.
The purposes of...
I have it. You can play the portion of hapo Kibichu akio. Alijibu maswali vizuri sana. There are some things he has clarified very well. Like this nonsense about the River Yala and all that kind of a thing. He has given a challenge, and I'm waiting, which Matiang'i has also given. To me, that makes what he has been saying as he resonated with Matiang'i, and is what I've been thinking. Okay, I'm not trying to support and say that there was no River Yala, but he has really given a very, very, a kind of an explanation that calls for an inquest, because anything that becomes mysterious, you throw it to the public inquest. That's how problems are sorted out all over nchi zingine, because public inquest, Njiro atakuja, Stone PK atakuja, and you are able to unravel some of those mysteries. So for one, he has to play safe also in terms of your elections. There is no way. By the way, there is nobody that will come and say Ruto never won elections. Hiyo iliisha. Kama baba alikuja akakubali, despite us giving us numbers, ana demonstrate, anafanya hizo vitu zote. Mwishowe si alikuja kukubali na akamuita rais.
And Stony PK, do you think it's a good narrative for us who will be in united opposition if we are not ready to give places where the election was stolen? Do you think some of these principals who are involved in that, including Matiang'i himself, because he was internal security, like for example, nikuuliza swali, do you want to tell me that Matiang'i is not aware of how the election is stolen in Kenya?
Everyone, very many people know how election is stolen. It is stolen in a very simple manner.
Cannot speak, and why is it that they cannot speak about that? All they have to pretend because they might also want to be beneficiaries of the same vices in the future. Why are they pretending like our election is normal?
They are pretending because they want to cover their butts. They were in the government. Okay, and you listen to anybody who has worked with the government akipeana nini zake, interview zake, ana protect gava sana, sijui huwa wamepewa oath gani. So because wakisema malpractices ni kama msumeno inakata mbele na nyuma. Ukicheza hiyo ya Kibichu ndio utaona vile ameulizwa sasa, wewe na ulikuwa ndio upande wa Azimio na nini, mbona mliachilia hiyo kitu ikaenda? You'll be shocked. Akaulizwa maneno ya deep state, akasema hata ningependa hii serikali iko saa hii tuelezee sasa ile wale watu walichukua over from, because deep state must be inherited, succeeded. Sasa hebu tuelezewe ile hiyo deep state succeed inaitwaje, ni nani, iko vipi? You see those quagmire created, you know, tunazungushwa tu mfringo.
Niko na speech ya Kibicho here, but I can see I have the long one. I don't have the short versions.
Sini kurukaruka tu, or can I don't know. The problem is that I'm not able to play from this.
No. Wacha niweke, but if you can guide me on a specific places where you think hapo ndio anatoa point, I can do it. It's only that I don't think people would have the patience.
GPT like Google.
People would have the patience to listen everything.
And try this instead.
We've borrowed this land from our children and we must return it with interest. But here in Kenya, we are not returning this land to our children with interest. We are returning it with...
To say that Kibicho called us and told us, arrest this person. When you are thinking about those employment activities,
Ruka hizo ni zake, hizo ni person.
Yes.
A pandemic in the wisest of fashion.
Ruka hiyo COVID, ruka hizo.
COVID
Sold in a very astronomical figures that we cannot even, begin even talking about, and taking advantage of that particular pandemic. You as a Kenyan right now,
Ruka
and having this conscience that you've been also reflecting, clarify to Kenyans who the deep states were.
We left government, and I think if there's a deep state, then I would want to know the new one. There are things that are said, and they seem to be true because of lack of information by majority of the consumer of such propaganda. I was the PS for Ministry of Interior. Yeah? And Ministry of Interior has certain responsibilities. It still has, even today. And because the position we occupied, the position that demands you to have certain responsibility in especially what you say. And therefore, all accusations were flying around, one-sided, without ever having us have an opportunity because of collective responsibility. I would want to know what deep state is today, but as it would always happen, and I hope that the people who are in offices actually create one, because the problem that I see is and it's not just this government, Kenyan government, it's governments all over. You must create a boogeyman who is one who takes all the bullets on behalf of the king, even for things they don't know. But they are employed to take the bullets on behalf of the king. And therefore, I understood my job very well. 90% of the things that I was being accused of doing, saying, harboring, I was also hearing them sometimes for the first time as they are being said.
For the first
But someone must be blamed.
Yeah, how would you then describe the occurrences of Kamata Friday? Because these were very evident. I mean, it was being displayed on television. People can see we have security officers, of course, with security vehicles. They are actually, invading without even any court warrants, houses of politicians who are akin to be on the opposition side.
I think I wouldn't come here to lay blame on any government institutions. Yeah. But because now I'm a Kenyan, I can say some of the things. One time, I saw in the news that Moses Kuria had been
Kidogo. Stone PK.
Sema.
When you're saying because I'm a Kenyan, what does it mean?
Si ni raia mwema. Ni raia sasa, si serikali.
Oh, okay. That statement was not complete because he said because I'm a Kenyan. I thought he is already a Kenyan anyway.
No, ukiwa raia wa kawaida, you can be able to say some things you can't say when you are in the government. That's the garbage about being in government.
So meaning that when you're in the government, you have to support stupidity.
Evil.
That's what
Evil. You support evil and stupidity. You have to be dumb. Unakuwa ng'ombe. bila mkia.
Yeah, sasa Joash anasema kuna disturbing noise, eh? I don't know sasa. Ni kwa video.
Well, ama ni kwangu. Let me
Ebu mute kidogo. Kebisho ongea alafu we will be back with you.
Say some of the things. One time, I saw in the news that Moses Kuria had been arrested. One time, and Moses Kuria is your friend, you can ask him actually. I also ask, why is Moses Kuria arrested? And this is...
No, Stunifica, you have to laugh on that. Stunifica, did you come over ski hapo? Stone, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Unasikia ati Karaja Kebicho ati anasema ati aliona ati Moses Kuria kwa magazeti ama ni kwa TV is arrested ati hata yeye anashtuka.
Sisikie uone kwa nini alishtuka. It is true.
No, just allow me to laugh.
Alishtuka.
Political time. So I called the DCI that time and asked Bwana, why do you want to give Moses Kuria mileage, political, by arresting him over the things I'm also not understanding? So I started negotiating for Moses Kuria. Negotiating. Because unlike what people believe, the Ministry of Interior, they are there now. You can ask them whether they can actually command National Police Service. National Police Service. They can't. But they work together. So we are the civilian front as a ministry of police, because police are disciplined. So the civilian front and the political front of National Police Services.
Stone PK hapo, there is a very serious point hiyo, tusipite hivyo. Ati anasema they do not command police. And he's explaining that they are the civilian front. Sijui kama umesikia your point hapo? Stone PK?
Endelea, nimesikiza hii nini yote. Just play, let it flow. Na uandike points. Let it flow.
Ministry of Interior. So you interpret things broader than them, because you have more view of the country than just security. Then when I'm very busy doing that, I see Moses Kuria on TV saying, Bishop, hata ukinishika. I'm here very busy trying to negotiate. And he is there. People who are not in the know today think that I had anything to do with that arrest. And therefore, because we left government, I have actually told anyone who cares to listen, we never left with anything in government. We left all files intact. We never left with files. We never left with records. They are there. I would want one officer in Kenya today to come forth and say, I received a phone from Karanja Kibicho. One, not two, to say an officer. Then you'll call him here. I face him to say, which phone call did I make to you to arrest anybody? One. I don't want to. But you see, when these perceptions are being pushed and said, where we have no forum of defending ourselves, yeah, most of the time, because when you are in a political space, you also must understand the audience.
Look at that face. That guy cannot get it.
But it will be disingenuous of you to say that you have no forum to defend yourself, because we've had also the former cabinet secretary on the platform ask the same questions regarding River Yala. Would you account for the bodies that were actually found in River Yala under your watch as well? And he's been always, obfuscating and, pussyfooting around the issue, talking about, public inquest that now will have Kenyans to really come and say, and give an account of the missing people and which bodies were found there. There is no clarity that has been given, neither from him, and I don't know also if you're going to clarify today as well.
We needed to finish with Kamata Kamata. Then,
was that part of Kamata Kamata? Maybe Kamata Kamata, then they're taken to River Yala.
Today I want you to ask all the questions, including the ugly ones, that are pendled around because you want to achieve a certain political mileage. I've made an offer. Yeah, I was PS for Interior for 7 years. When I went there, there was an Inspector General, I think that time he was Boynet. There was Kemayo, I found him. Then Boynet, then Mutiambai. And when I was leaving, there was this other one. What was the name of the last one?
Kanja.
No,
not Kanja.
The before one.
You lose me as well.
Yeah. I would want, and they had Deputy Inspector Generals of Police. Obviously, I don't expect there is a Kenyan who would think I was calling an OCS. So if I'm calling someone to arrest someone, I would obviously call those ones. When I came in, there was a DCI, Mohoro, and they left when there was a DCI, Kenoti. Yeah, those are the ones who are, when he came in, there was Geshangi, who was the Director General of NIS, and Kameru, who was Director General of NIS when we left. Yeah, I am offering myself, one of them, to say that Kibicho called us and told us, arrest this person, and I'll take full responsibility. There are lies that are pendled, and they seem to be true. If there is a DCI who arrested a person and arrested that person wrongfully on a Friday, that Kamata, that person has a responsibility to actually take on that DCI head on. Then the DCI will go to court and say, oh, no, I was not acting out of my own volition. I was told by Kibicho. Then I will take full responsibility in this country. In fact, I will not need to be tried. I'll walk to prison and tell them, be saying the years when I'm inside. Because all this, imagine, are lies.
So the River Yala also, people...
I will say this. Of course, my former boss, I know, has been to this station to talk about this matter. And it doesn't matter what anyone says. There is a hype that Rivayala. I'll pose the question to you. Yeah? When, of course, systems want to do what people imagine, they would have a motivation. You are trying to cure a problem. Yeah? What problem possibly could one have been trying to cure with Rivayala? Which one? Then I would, and that is why I support my former boss fully when he says, let's go for a public inquest. I will ask you, because you have talked about it. Tell me one person. There are bodies, right? Tell me one person you know, by name, by their village, by their parents, who was extracted from Rivayala. Then we go backwards, and that's the essence of the public inquest. We go backwards. Then this person must have been killed by the government because he was a nuisance to them. Just tell me one person. The essence of a public inquest is to see, because there must be a claimant, because bodies can be found which are not necessarily because someone is killing. It could even be a ritual. We saw Shakahola. Nobody knows, and that's why there is, when those people who are there say, we don't know, then the public inquest will come and say, my cousin wrote a tweet about Kibisho, and Kibisho got very annoyed and killed him. Then we will go and look, what was the tweet? But you see, these mass condemnation because something happened without anybody. The fact that you found bodies in Rivayala, who said they must have been killed by government? And that's the essence of the inquest. They could have been a ritual. We have just seen Shakahola. If this government did not actually move fast to show that this is a cult-like thing, today they would be accused of killing people and burying them in Shakahola. So we need a similar thing when we are not emotional and when we are logical, and that can only be solved by an inquest. But as I exit that, I just want to ask you, do me a favor, tell me one person, only one, I don't want to. You know was killed in Rivayala, you know their place, you know their relatives, and why they were killed. One. Then we have a basis of doubting the demand for an inquest.
All right, let's leave it at that. And
you see, you don't have one. I mean, you just admit you don't have one.
Yes, let's wait for the public inquest, see if it will happen.
And you see,
so that we may actually clear the air.
You see, you see, I'm here, Karanja Kibisho, an innocent Kenyan citizen whose address is known, who walks in the streets of Nairobi, in the streets of Kagio. Surely, if Kibisho murdered a person, why should he be walking free? He should actually be arrested and charged with the murder. But you see, because there is public mob justice, it looks like it's true. Why? Tell me, why would the government not actually go for the people who killed people in Rivayala? Why? Just go for them. You are the government. If Kibisho actually was guilty of that, go for him. Don't talk. Just arrest him and say, on this day, the records show there was this, and we are connecting you with this murder. Then I put myself to defense. But you know, talking for political expediency doesn't help a government and the people take action. If there are people who are guilty, yeah, Mackenzie is in prison. He is being tried. He is in remand, is he not? The Shakahola one. who is in remand for Rivayala. And that is why the inquest is important, so that we separate facts from fiction.
All right, let's leave it at that. So let me ask you, still with the Kamata, even as we're ending up on it, because we've seen also your former boss has been exonerated by the courts with that particular incident that we had with the immigration saga with Miguna. But also you and the cabinet secretary then, you starkly denied, or you actually were summoned by the Senate and you failed to appear. Is there any rhyme or reason why you and the cabinet secretary failed to appear before Senate?
Obviously, it was very fashionable.
It was fashionable.
Fashionable to drag in the name of Karanja Kebisho in things that he is not even involved in. One, and I told you I'm not here to drag blame on people. In the Ministry of Interior, then there were 3 state departments. One was the one involved for security and citizen. It became citizen services before. It was involved with the internal security. There is another one that was concerned with immigration. And there was another one for correctional services, the one that was dealing, there were 3 of them. Then, of course, later they were merged to 2. And that's when it became Ministry of Interior and State Department of Interior and Citizen Services. So there was a PS responsible for immigration, who was actually the one going with the minister around Miguna thing. But because my dear friend General Kialangwa probably was not attracting sufficient attention, then Kibicho must be brought in, because when Kibicho is brought in, then it looks like a serious matter.
That wasn't really
now,
right up your alley.
I had nothing to do with it, but I have knowledge around it. Mm-hmm. But I had nothing to do with it. Okay. Fact is that until 2020 Constitution, Kenya could not allow what do you call this thing of multiple citizenship? Mm-hmm. Dual citizen. Mm-hmm. Could not allow. It was illegal in the country. And anybody who would relocate to another country and acquire citizenship of that country, even if you are born in Kenya with all rights, you would have to denounce the Kenyan one so that you get the other one. But post 2010, the Constitution allowed that you can have multiple citizenship. But for those particular people who had denounced earlier, because by birth, you have a right to be Kenyan. You only had denounced because of the law that existed, and now the law has opened up. There was a leeway that for those who had denounced and they want to reclaim this citizenship, then here is a 1-page form to recall, because you already had denounced it. It can't be you will recall by mouth.
Yes.
Obviously, government doesn't work by words of mouth. So and that is why I think the case was even thrown out, because here is a 1-pager. Yeah, Kenya is not a rogue state. When you are traveling in and out of Kenya, you travel with documents, right? Tell me what kind of a country we shall be when an individual, because of his beliefs, decides that I will come to the country and I will not even use the internationally acknowledged travel document, which is a passport. I want to use my ID. After all, I'm a Kenyan. Yeah? You know, all this saga was about drama that was uncalled for, because all you need to do is fill a 1-pager. And what happened that time, I will know because I was in the ministry, is that for Miguna, when all this drama came, it was even taken to him, filled to the airport and told, please sign only here. He took it to it and said, I'm using this ID to enter this country. Really, if you allow that, what happens to your international reputation of managing immigration services. And I think a lot of these things, because there are people who speak louder than others, look like there are issues. But, you cannot hide truth forever.
We had the state machinery, we had the deep state, so to speak. You had the incumbency, you had all that it could have taken for you to retain power. But as it be right now, you are outsmarted by Dr. William Ruto. And now he's the president of the country.
I don't think Dr. Ruto...
Was it a political sleight of hand that really came from that left side that you never anticipated? Was it a poor strategy from your end as well? Did you fail?
This question...
The Azimio.
This question, I keep getting. There's a group of Kenyans who think, in fact, at around that time when people results are trickling in, and there are a group of people saying, even if Ruto is leading, Kibicho atu hapo. Huwezi kuwa hivi. And I ask a basic question. Would you have wanted Kibicho to rig elections so that Raila wins? I mean, that's the basic question, because Ruto had more votes than Raila. So would you have chosen that Kibicho breaks the law and rigs so that Raila wins, even though Raila was being supported probably by the state machinery? Would you rather that Kibicho broke the law and started stuffing boxes against the will of the people for government to look effective? And I will remain eternally grateful to both the fourth president and Raila, because they did not place a call to us to tell us to change the will of the people.
I want to appreciate you. And of course, this is happy holidays. We'll give you also an opportunity to wish Kenyans, happy holidays.
Yes.
And tell them also to come to Abai Lodge. Is it overbooked right now?
Everybody is actually welcome to Abai Lodges. We are a new hotel where we redefine exclusivity. Come there and I'm sure you'll come back again. But for the festive season, I think we are at it again. My prayer is that we keep ourselves sane. We celebrate the season, don't overindulge, and ensure that we keep watching over each other. Yeah. Don't drive recklessly. Don't drive while drunk.
Indeed. Thank you for your valid company and happy felicitations for the festive season. Do take care of yourself, drive safely, also indulge responsibly. My name is Dubala Nair. Thank you.
Yeah, Stony PK, react. Would you like me to steal the election so that Raila Odinga can win? That is the kicker.
Of course, for me, I would have said yes, because there is so much also rigging that had gone before. I mean, as much as we say two wrongs don't make a right, if that is the trend in the country, why not? I would have wanted to rig in favor of the candidate I was supporting. That question is answered. Uliza ingine Njiru.
He has also said extensively about Livayala, and he has said it could be another cult similar to Shakahora. And he has put a challenge that any person who has ever died in Livayala, details zake zitolewe. To what extent do you believe to that? The way like he has explained Livayala issue.
It makes a lot of sense, honestly. Or all facts remaining unchanged, because hizi story zote Njiru zimekuwa crowded, smoky. Inakuwa ni smoky. So who is fooling who? Kwa nini ziko smoky kama ni issue hizi ziko very serious? So for me, the question he has asked makes a lot of sense. And not only him, hata Matiang'i alikuja akasema hivyo. Hii issue mumeimba sana. Kwanza UDA, Ruto ndiye aliimba sana. Sasa hii ni serikali. mbona asi-lead? So for me, it's neither here nor there. Although there are bodies there, yes, but I would fall for what Kibichu and Matiang'i are asking. Kwanza Ruto juu alikuwa alitumia kama campaign whatever, ni saa hii ndiye angeweka hiyo inquest. Mbona hawataki kuweka hiyo inquest? Those are things that are done everywhere, even in Rwanda, Liberia. Unaekanga hizo public inquest na zinakuja, watu wanakuja wanaongea. Let's hear some of the relatives of those bodies that were found in. Sijawahi kusikia. Sijawahi kusikia. Mimi nasikianga tu kuna mtu alidisappear na hajawahi patikana, but bodies zikitolewa hakuna watu wanaenda kusema oh, ule mtu wetu alidisappear 1 month ago ndio yeye huyu. So those mysteries they are not nice. When you are in power and you are able to unwrap them, they better do it. And now that Kibicho has challenged, I think if I were whatever, I would bring it up and then see, because these are some of the things that should rest. For example, if this next government takes over, those are things, hizo inquiries zote zikuje ziwekwe, ndio sasa watu wajue iko aje.
Na Stony PK ameweka pia challenge nyingine noma, anasema why is the government of the day not arresting them if they believe they have a case to answer?
Exactly. Yeah. Why? Kwa nini hawezi shikwa? Ukienda Botswana, when Duma took over, watu wameshikwa. Zambia the same. Watu kama walicommit crimes wanashikwa na wakuwe tried. So I agree with Kibicho, watu wengine wanaleta hizo tu for political expedient. Hyping.
Nimeona pia comment ya Anne is claiming that ile interview tuliona ya Moses Kuria jana na interview ya Kibisho is like Anne is not impressed by Kibisho. She thinks like Moses Kuria was more straight and forward than Kibisho. Just that one is in terms of comparison. Hiyo tu ni comment tu. So Bwana Stony PK, let me ask you a question. Based on the way Kibisho is speaking, on what political front do you think Kibisho is? Ama Kibisho ameachana na siasa? Unafikiria Kibisho wako pande gani ya siasa kwa wakati huu?
Obviously it would be a bit hard to tell, because Kibicho is a typical Kikuyu, Modo Abesha, and Kikuyus are not trustworthy in politics. By the way, this I've said it today. You can't trust them. Wanakaanga kwa fence kama bendera, because sasa si unaona ni mtu ameinvest, anajaribu kuprotect hiyo, so anangoja tu ile itachukua ndiye anaenda. So that's why utaona ni kama is neither here nor there, you know, and he talks, anapuliza akiuma, hogwash, you know, that lukewarm kind of a situation is whatever. That's how Kikuyu watu wa pesa, watu wa biashara, that's what they believe. Protect their personal interests. Yeah, that's why you never hear them even leading demonstration, leading protests. The only protest utapata ni mtu akija kujaribu kunyakua shamba yake ama plot yake. Thank you.
And I think Singapore direct. Let me do another thing here. React about it.
Also used as the first election where we can have some critical constitutional issues that have never been resolved. We can have a referendum going side by side.
Side by side?
Yes.
Is it manageable?
Oh yes, why not? If you can vote for 6 people on one ballot paper, I think we are now mature enough to include maybe 2 or 3 constitutional questions that can be dealt with so that as Kenyans we move forward, because we don't want to have arguments constantly on some issues that we know Parliament may not.
So, like what are those issues?
For instance, there was the NADCO report. Some of the issues that were canvassed in the NADCO report, and there's now debate about why aren't we implementing the NADCO report? Why haven't you done this in the context of some of those issues require a constitutional amendment? I think this is the time.
Is the time
to,
if you could highlight 1, 2, or 3.
For instance, the debate around how do you deal with the CDF.
CDF has been quite key.
It keeps going to the Supreme Court, goes to Parliament, and whatever. And the Supreme Court and the courts have been ruling that it's unconstitutional.
Wow.
Maybe this is the time to figure out how to solve it.
Another issue?
In one way or the other.
Number 2?
Another issue that can be perhaps dealt with could be perhaps the structure of governance.
Meaning?
Because there were issues of inclusivity or lack of inclusivity. Perhaps when one wanted to talk about introducing in the NADCO report the issue of a prime minister, this could be a time to resolve it through the ballot.
Yeah, so that because some of those structures come after election,
yes,
and it's negotiated over the table,
so that you can solve it.
Yeah, solve it once and for all.
Once and for all,
so,
and then
so that it's constitutional.
So that it's properly constitutional.
To avoid issues of people are people are shortchanged.
Yes,
we wanted this. Okay,
So I see that there's some 2 or 3 critical areas.
The third one.
The third one could be controversial, but perhaps we may now resolve the gender issue.
Which Parliament, again, it's been back and forth and not clear.
That could, I think this election we can also use as the first election where we can have some critical constitutional issues that have never been resolved. We can have a referendum going side by side.
Amemaliza. Stony PK, can you react? And there is somebody who has noted that Musalia Mudavadi looks emaciated. I had already noted that. Sijui inaweza kuwa ni yeye tu like anajikazia, lakini can you react to what he's saying without looking at his structure?
Wakenya unajua saa ingine tunasahau vitu. Njiru, you are not how you looked 2 years ago or 3 years ago. You're growing old. Na ukigrow old kuna complications za mwili, diabetic, magonjwa, nini, all these things people are living with them, and these are human beings. Njiru, hawa ni watu, they are not immortal. Ni mzee pia, lazima ana mambo, ni mtu akamnyweso. So there are many things that are happening with this body, so that should not worry us. Just like the way Raila was ailing and people are saying, oh, he's looking strong. Tunaambia watu mtu ameanza kutupa network, watu wanasema ni uongo. Haya, Ruto akaanza kufurafura miguu, which is normal with the people. Unapata complication hapa na pale. Anyway, that aside, so mambo ya health hiyo tuachane nayo. Hiyo ni daktari, ni yeye na daktari wake. Njiru, I had talked about hii video yake na hii maneno ya election the other day. Okay. Election na nini, it's nonsense. Number one, he is not in any authority to discuss about those issues, the constitution. He is holding unconstitutional office. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo kwa constitution. Okay. In fact, that is one of the, if there would be anything about the constitution here, and then why should we always go to the constitution to create offices? This is really nonsense. Ni kwa nini yani expand? Then we shall have 42 executive offices, ndio kila tribe ikuwe na mtu mmoja hapo. That's nonsense. Alafu when some of these things, our country is not 100% literate. Unaweza imagine Shosho amepewa ballot because they want to insert the Ruto years of president extended, wanataka kuamend hiyo, so they want to slide it in there na vitu zingine mingi mbaya hizo ambazo Ruto anataka kupitisha, they want to entrench them in the constitution. It's a trick that is being played, yeah. And the moment also the referendum is taken into consideration excuse me, it means that obviously there will be delay. Saa hii tukianza kukubali maneno ya referendum, elections can't be held in August next year, itakuwa ni ngumu, yeah. So na hiyo yote inatokana na Ruto, hiyo group yake hiyo, they are looking for, they are testing waters, and what they are talking is what they have already decided on, okay, yeah. So basically it is terrible, and Kenyans opposition should come out very strongly and vehemently to stop that, and maandamano should be revived. Back to you.
Okay, I think yeah, that one is quite in order. I think Mudavadi was not clear on what he was talking about referendum. The only thing which I remembered is when they were ascending to power, alisema serikali yao si ya viti, and he was quickly to point on the issue of prime minister. So I don't know to what extent Mr. William Ruto and his cronies have discovered we need a constitutional moment, while we know that they have been all the time fighting. So, and I think even many of the things which they were even fighting before they came to the government is like they are starting to think about it. Ni kucheza tunakuwa tukichezewa stone ama nini kama vile ulisema jana. How comes that zile vitu unapingana nazo ukiingia kwa serikali unazitaka? Unasema sisi hatutaki serikali na upinzani. Wewe ndio unataka kumeza upinzani. You are, before you get the government unasema huyu Raila hata kuwa anaingia kwa serikali tena. Immediately you are in the government unataka huyo Raila. So like, why is it that all the things which Ruto fought, once he gets power, he wants them? Vitu zote alipigana nazo after kupata power, he wants them. He always used to tell us that huyu Raila, sasa sahi he is the biggest bootlicker of Raila, including even naming stadiums over him and wanting to give him so much excessive favors, even at death. What can we call Mr. Ruto? A man who pretends to be standing for people, then akipata kile amepata anageuza mbao. It is like the typical theory ile inasemekananga kubadilisha mbao ya matatu. Matatu ilikuwa inasema inaenda Chicago, alafu after mumeingia ndani mbao inatoroa na mnapelekwa Kiritiri. Bwana Stone PK, I'm saying that because you know. So why does Ruto take people as fools? Like we don't recall anything he said 2017, 2018, 2019 or even 2022. So Bwana Stone PK, mbona Ruto anafikiria tukumbuke zile vitu alikuwa anasema? He thinks now that we are in a new life.
When you are president, you want to have peace. When you are in the cookie jar, unataka kukula bila disturbance. Ikiwa ni Njiro anapiga nyef, unaingiza yeye kwa cookie jar. Okay? So, and that is very wise way of doing it. If you want to remain in power. Wajaka ni watu wa kuenda maandamano, bring them, ingiza hao kwa nini. So now Kenya, kuna mtu Kenya huwezi ona maandamano juu It is true. It is proven. Wajaka ndio walikuwa wana lead maandamano. That is a fact now. Hiyo sasa si hearsay. Hiyo ni fact. Bila Wajaluo hakuna uwezi pata watu kwa street. Ama hiyo si fact, Njiru? That's a fact. So what do you do as a president? Unawaingiza, unachukua viongozi wao. Viongozi wao wanaanza kuwatozia carrot, akina Gaucho, kina nani. Wanaanza kusema sasa tuko kwa serikali. And they start even praising the program. You should have watched another program that was on Radio Generation studio. One of the guy there defending vile mambo ya Ruto, programs za Ruto zinafanya kazi, bottoms up. They're there and they go all over in studios. You'll find those who are talking are people from ODM now, praising and saying how bottoms up is one of the best module. I mean, can Kenyans trust these guys? Can you trust somebody who was on the street akisema economy inaenda mbaya, then a few months later anabadilika na kuambia economy is on the right path, iko mzuri sana? I mean, we are just a confused country, very disgusting country. Yeah. So don't worry and wonder why Ruto has to bring everybody on board. Anybody who is nini. Remember alijaribu mpaka Kalonzo and all that. And that is why even amending the constitution, Ruto doesn't care. He has to have like 3 slots of deputy or even 2, so that he retains Kindiki to appease the Merus and the rest. Then he creates one for Anga, and he can create even another one for Luya people, and even create, you can have up to including 5 deputies. Why not? Why not? Hata 6. We are coast deputy. Nyi wote mnaitwa deputy. Moi did that kwa KANU. First vice president, second vice president, third vice president, fourth vice president. Una broaden, ndio you bring in the 4, wale ambao wange kuoppose. Kwisha. Una silence wakishaambia watu wao sisi tuko kwa serikali and all that. And that's why I want you to play this clip about the ODM. I don't want us to lose that track. You remember your first question was asking whether the Luos or Nyanza or ODM, or why they are behaving the way they are behaving, whether it is all of them who are in government or not. There is a small clip I would want you to play. Nitakuwekea hapo chini.
Story PK kabla ucheze video yako. This is the finance minister in Uganda. And there's a reason why I am bringing him here. Kuna kitu nataka uniambie. You tell me the level of... This is the finance minister in Uganda. Kuna kitu nataka musikie hapo. And then you react. I'm not mixing issue. Kuna kitu nataka uniambie hapo. Lack of clarity from our leaders. 1 minute.
Honorable, in the next financial year, you said you're going to create 840,000 jobs. How are you going to create them?
Ooh, there are so many things. Let me tell you. To assure you people and assure the country, the economy is now on. I'm totally innocent. I never asked for the iron sheets.
Stone PK, sijui kama umeshikanisha huyo finance minister wa Uganda. He promised that he was to create 840,000 jobs. Then akaulizwa hiyo swali na umesikia jibu.
Hiyo ni si ndio hivyo?
Ameulizwa how will you create those jobs? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. He didn't have an answer. You know, these are they are almost the same with our leaders here. They are skunks, empty-headed. They can't articulate. Na watu wanaitwa engineers, doctors, hata Kibichu. when Kibicho was being interviewed, he's the most boring guy, incoherent. Sijui watu hawakusomeshwa English shule, watu walisomea wapi Kenya? My God, but sijui kwa nini hatutakagi watu wa interviewe na kikwao mother tongue. Like I would have interviewed Kibicho na lugha ya Kikirinyaga, Kirinyaga, and then niweke interpretation hapo. Because unaongea ukisema mae mingi. The same thing with this Uganda. He didn't have an answer. He has nothing in the brain. And that is why wanakuja wana degrade politics. Ati ukitaka kuingia politics, people think you are as daft as those who are the predecessors. Sasa nikitaka kusimama Senate wa Embu County, watu wataanza kunicompare na Mondigi. You know, can you imagine? Ati sasa benchmark yangu itakuwa ni Mondigi. Wewe Njiro utaanza kuni benchmark kwa Mondigi. Can you imagine?
we want to compare like what difference are you bringing compared to Mondigi?
Yeah, sasa unanianzia kwa hiyo benchmark hapo. Yaani
Mondigi ndiye base level. Mondigi ndio tunaitaka ground zero.
Mbona tusiende kwa nani? Kwa Ndwega?
Yeah, it is so funny. The way like and by this guy, the reason why nimekuchezea huyu jamaa wa Uganda. Na huyu jamaa sasa he is the finance minister of Uganda. Na anajibu swali, can you tell me which hope does Uganda have with such a guy? Yani hakuna kitu hata moja angesema, he couldn't have even said how he can even create 5 jobs.
Ukisikiza speech ya Museveni ndio utajua Museveni all what is going on in Uganda is one man show. Museveni ndiye anarun hiyo country, ndiye anatoa mpaka ile empowerment programs huko base grassroots. Yeye ndiye anaenda kutrain watu on how to become economically viable. He does it himself. Anakuwafundisha kuweka ng'ombe, kufanya nini, kuweka ng'ombe wa maziwa, mbuzi. He does for those lessons, for those zinaitwaje, community empowerment awareness creation. So hao wamewekwa tu kama figureheads. I mean, it's a terrible situation. That is Ambandi now. The economy ya Uganda imegrow under his stewardship.
It's pathetic. Huyo na huyo mtu ndiye anategemewa sasa to get people out of poverty and to bring industrialization. Stony PK, that is the man who is being relied on to bring industrialization in Uganda.
Yes, but by the way, Uganda is a bit different as much as we don't really the way they are doing things. Such people have no say in the day-to-day running of the Nini. Uganda is run and managed by Museveni, for your information. Yeah, look at who is the head of the central government. Inaitwaje Central Bank of Uganda? Do you know who it is? Ule anashikilia pesa?
I don't know.
The daughter. Okay.
Daughter of Museveni. Unaongea story ya URA?
Not URA.
No, that is revenue.
Central Bank. Ikomberea mbs there Uganda.
Kama ile job nani, the famous job ya Nation Nyaga. Unakumbuka the guy who used to be called Nation Nyaga ambaye moja alikuwa amemfanya governor, yule tulikuwa tunaambia ndiye anasainingi pesa ya Kenya.
Wanaitangwa Central Bank governors. A very key position. Deadly. It's a deadly position. Inashikiliwa na
what is your job? Can you tell me like kazi ya governor wa Central Bank ni nini?
Ati sasa bank manager kazi yake ni gani? Normal bank. A normal bank. The bank you bank with.
Kutuchungia do.
Hakuna ndururu inaweza toka kwa hiyo bank ama kuingia bila yeye kujua. Kweli urongo?
Yeah, of course.
Simple as that. Sasa Kenya kukiwa na fluctuation ama nini anything, lazima yeye
ndio interest rate, kila kitu ni yeye.
Ni yeye ndio kusema. Yeye ndiye ana advise president, yeye ndiye kusema. Ati Njiru amekuja ana withdraw 1 million, yeye hiyo mpaka urudi na huko nyuma ndio asaini. Of course at the macro level then it becomes even more complex. Yeah. So governor central bank ni deadly. Akitaka kusabotage hiyo serikali na siku mbili ana sabotage mara moja and the country is on fire. Unajua anaweza kosa kurelease ile pesa ya daily ya circulation. Money gets in and it doesn't release. You know the effect, the impact. It's like ni kama kukamuliwa damu. It's one of the most, ni kama amiri jeshi, ni kama the commander in chief of the armed forces job. Akiissue order across the armed forces, hiyo ni ingine. Yeah. So basically it's a very sensitive job. Amepatia msichana wake haya kusimamia jeshi, kijana yake, na yeye ndio president. Niambie sasa, Uganda is run like nini inaitwaje, nyumba, family house. Ndio wana decide menu ya jioni, menu ya saa lunch, na menu ya asubuhi, ya breakfast. Yeah, yes.
I want to give the history of Uganda here. Na uniambia kama that's where we are pointing. Please be patient, sababu there is a history of 1980 and you try to trace. Naleta Uganda hapa sababu karibu tunaenda huko. Hii ni 1980. Nataka msikilize vizuri, then we talk. This is even before Museveni, then amuona vile Museveni alikuja. This one is unajua uchaguzi wa Uganda ni January 15. So listen to this and then you'll comment to me.
The 1980 election was Uganda's first general election since 1961. It was organized under the supervision of the Military Commission chaired by Paulo Mwanga, a close ally of Milton Obote. But historians say the process was fatally compromised from the start. According to scholars Justin Willey, Gabriel Lynch, and Nick Cheeseman, the valid electoral exercise, Uganda's 1980 election, and the Observer's dilemma, the Military Commission openly favored Obote's Uganda People's Congress over the opposition. The nomination process, they write, was riddled with irregularities. UPC candidates were nominated in 125 out of 126 constituencies. 14 of those seats were uncontested, not because there were no challenges, but because opposition candidates were never nominated.
The UPC or the Democratic Party or any other party has evidence of elections not having been done according to law, or the provision is there in the law, we would go to the courts. We would not accept even a UPC member sitting in parliament if he was not properly elected.
In West Nile, opposition candidates failed to qualify after armed attacks disrupted voter registration, forcing tens of thousands from their homes. Without registered voters, opposition candidates could not be nominated. Yet, UPC candidates were accepted anyway. Elsewhere, the Democratic Party candidates were detained at roadblocks until nomination deadlines passed. Others were told they had submitted papers too late, despite evidence to the contrary. In one constituency, a DP aspirant was found dead just days before nomination. 3 days before polling, the Electoral Commission cancelled 3 more DP nominations in Kasese while reinstating the only rejected UPC candidate. Fast forward to today, and critics say Uganda may be reliving parts of the past. The 2026 electoral process is being overseen by the Electoral Commission, chaired by Justice Simon Byabakama. In 2006, Byabakama led the state's legal team that prosecuted opposition leader Dr. Kizza Besigye on rape charges that were later dismissed by the High Court. Justice John Bosco Katusi ruled the case preposterous, calling the evidence, and I quote, ridiculous, monstrous, and scandalous. Justice Byabakama later rose through the ranks from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions to the Court of Appeal. Now he is managing his second general election. And just like in 1980, several candidates from the ruling party have been declared unopposed under controversial circumstances. In the current 11th Parliament, the NRM commands 337 MPs, followed by 87 independents. The National Unity Platform has 57 members of parliament, the Forum for Democratic Change has 31, the Uganda People's Congress has 11, the Democratic Party with 9 members of parliament, People's Progressive Party and Justice Forum with 1 each. Uganda has 557 parliamentary positions, with 529 directly elected, 353 constituency representatives, 146 district women representatives, and 30 representatives of youth, persons with disabilities, workers, and older persons. The disqualifications come as the ruling NRM party, fielding candidates in all 519 elective positions, already has 14 unopposed candidates. First was Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, declared unopposed for Bukedia District Woman Representative. Her challengers from the National Unity Platform, FDC, and independent ranks were removed from the voters' register. A court petition claimed they were not native to Bukedia.
For all the support that he has given me for me to be unopposed today.
The Electoral Commission later supported that claim in court, confirming their deletion from the register. Another potential challenger, Florence Asio, failed to appear on nomination day. Allegations of kidnap swirled until a video emerged in which Asio denied it, citing family pressure.
My name is Asio Florence, the NUP flag bearer for Women MP Bukedia District. I am here to clear the air and the rumors going around that I was kidnapped by the Right Honorable Speaker, Anita Among, as alleged by my party. In that case, I wish to categorically make it clear to everyone that I was not kidnapped.
Days later, she appeared at an NRM rally pledging allegiance to the ruling party.
Your Excellency, I also have your daughter Florence. Florence, come over. I have your daughter Florence. Florence, you're young, run. Whom Noop said he had brought to stand against me. She's my daughter. Thank you. Thank you so much. She has never been in Noop. She's not even a politician.
The Deputy Speaker, on the other hand, Thomas Tayebwa, was also declared unopposed. Opposition candidate Osbert Kato says he was blocked from nomination despite meeting all requirements. Meanwhile, in Nebi, NRM's Fiona Nyamutoro was declared unopposed after the Electoral Commission nullified her rival's nomination, citing disputed supporters' signatures.
I was denominated by Byamukama because of certain issues. When we went to the tribunal, they checked the signature, and Byamukama told us we should go back and campaign. He will communicate to us. Up to now, he did not communicate to me. I saw each and everything on phonics. After her being announced unopposed, they gave her the declaration form.
In Kasambia, NRM's MP David Kabanda petitioned the Electoral Commission to block his only remaining rival. Another opposition contender had already been jailed on forgery charges, allegations his party calls politically motivated. Section 28 of the Parliamentary Elections Act requires any person aspiring to be nominated as Member of Parliament to present names and signatures of a minimum of 10 registered voters in the constituency. Each seconder must state their village, occupation, and personal voter registrations. Section 4 further requires that anyone nominated for an MP seat must have completed a minimum formal education of advanced level standard or its equivalent. Section 30 outlines 5 circumstances under which a nomination can be invalidated, including incorrect signatures, unpaid nomination fees, bankruptcy, prior nomination for another constituency, or failure to comply with Section 4. The other unopposed candidates include the Vice President, Jessica Lupo, who is also contesting for the Katakwi Woman MP seat, Ofono Pondro, who is seeking to represent older persons of Eastern Uganda, Lilian Paparu for Arua Woman MP, Catherine Akumu representing older persons, Ruth Rijoki for Kiruhura Woman MP seat, Emily Kugonza from Buyanja East, Joy Wako representing older persons, Geneva Nalongo, Ruberizi District Woman MP representative, Emmanuel Banya from Koboko District, Boniface Okot, Youth MP Northern Region, and Laura Kanushu, Persons with Disability, Female National. By December 23rd, at least 11 parliamentary candidates had been disqualified, the majority from the National Unity Platform Party. They include Matthias Walukaga from Busiro East, Charimpa Resti, Isinjiro Woman Member Representative, Ernest Ayen, Northern Youth MP, Abedichan Masi Rebecca for Nebi Woman MP, Ongelech Charles, Kachumbala and Bukedea, Ntanda Sharif for Isinjiro North, and to attach proof of resignation from public service at the time of nomination.
No, I'm sorry. Wacha nisimamishe hiyo. Stone PK, can you imagine? Uganda election cycle has been the same. Na hakuna mtu ako na stress ama pressure. And I don't think there is any person from Uganda who is having a thinking of how to improve the situation in Uganda matters election. From 19, even before Museveni actually, ile system walikuta ndio inherit, because even Obote mwenyewe alikuwa anafanya uchaguzi yake, ama alikuwa anafanya mauchaguzi the same style Museveni anafanya. Like, we have been pretending, I use your word, we have been saying that Museveni ndiye, lakini ona hata wakati wa Milton Obote, intimidation na vitu zingine. Meaning that these things are systemic, azikujangi na mtu moja. So we might also say that pia sisi mashida zetu ni Ruto, na maybe they are also systemic. So what is there in the system within Kenyan government we are not talking about and is destroying our government? Yet some of these people in opposition wanajua, and it might destroy their fortunes of becoming a leader. That was the reason why nimecheza hiyo bwana Stone PK. 1980, 2025, same style. 35 years, no, not 35, 45 years down the line. Not 45 years, same style. Thank you. Stone PK unanipata?
Yeah, similarly, it is the same story with Kenya since independence. Since 1963, it's the same, nothing new. Okay, nothing new. And that's why when you hear some of us talking, we say, if we cannot fix it, you leave it. Some countries decided to fix it. It is called electoral malpractices. Okay, it is not any rocket science. It is simply not allowing the electoral process to take its due course. That's why you have like kina Chama cha Mapinduzi, they want to be there forever. akina nani ingine, akina Uganda, whatever, HLRM to be there forever, UPC. So whoever is in presidency, same thing with Kanu, same thing with Kenyatta, same thing with Ruto, with Moi, same thing with Kibaki, same thing with Ruto. Yeah, but we have only few countries in Africa that have broken from that yoke. It's a sad story. It's a very bad case, and it takes a bone to be able to do that. Ni ngumu tu. Jiambie Africa to cover 50 states, and you can only have 1, 2, or maybe 3 that are struggling to be able to do some semblance of electoral justice. Okay, it also gets so tricky when we start now bringing in maneno ya kanisa into elections. Kanisa, you are being told, oh, unajua lazima umche Mungu, you have to be calm, you have to be this. Elections ni vita. It's a competition. Anywhere where there is competition, it's not about bwana asifiwe or fulani nini. Why do you think some people have some lukewarm feeling about Kalonzo being a bit, trying to put Kenya into the right trajectory? It requires somebody who can get mad, somebody who can put aside the Bible and can go and act the way it's supposed to. When I say put aside the Bible, not in bad taste, but we don't want you to always, whenever you stand, you are just you are so calm, you are so you are pretending to be ndugu ya Jesus. You can't. I've not seen leaders that have made it that way. Hakuna. The entire Africa sijaona. Ule alikuwa Zambia ambaye alikuwa hata anapreachia watu, he turned out to be the worst. Mwizi, mambo yote, na niendi alikuwa ana preach just like the way huyu tuko naye yuko. So basically it is a systematic problem, yeah, which it only requires one individual to come out and hit it hard. And I always give you an example of Botswana. You should always take your time and get to listen a lot to Botswana clips. Utasikia their journey. Now their journey started a little bit later than ours, but they have insisted to be on the right track through hooks or crooks. Through hooks or crooks. Wanalazimisha, wanakata. Ukitaka kutoka, kukaingia corruption, they dealt with it. So, yeah, we have a serious problem. Like now, we are seated here hoping that 2027 elections will be okay, will be smooth. Now already tunaambiwa itakuwa deadly. Mbere was an example, Malava, an example of what the government will do. Already sahi all that is being neutralized na mnaambiwa serikali ilishinda. Walishinda genuinely. People are saying Kariz was beaten genuinely. Mmesikia hapo Kibicho akisema Ruto won genuinely. So then if Ruto won genuinely, okay, then we are on the right trajectory. So tungoje tu ashinde tena 2027. Back to you, Njiro.
Yeah, so Stony PK, these are some of the things which we have now to start talking about openly. If there is a problem in our systems, do we agree we have a problem? Which are they? Like, for example, for instance, how comes the Kenyan election ended up in the Supreme election for 3 elections in a cycle? Every election in Kenya has to be decided by the bench of Supreme Court. Sasa kuna swali najiuliza, mbona hawa watu wasijitokeze alafu tuambie sasa Court of Supreme hatutaenda uchaguzi waamue who will be the president, instead of us going in the circles of the election, and do all the idiocy only for still these 8 people to sit and tell us who will be the president. So just Tony PK, kama unanishika hiyo, like, why should we all the time, like even the US, by the way, they have a Supreme Court, and they only used Supreme Court once in 2000. This other time, the election is determinate. whether the Republicans or Democrats are agreeing with who has won, there is a closure to the election. But how comes in Kenya the election has no closure? So maybe Stony PK hiyo ndio nilikuwa tunataka tu for now, even as opposition is gearing towards 2026 na kupanga kandi zao. How can we get the election closure for the first time in the history of Kenya?
Election closures, you can copy America. Okay? America wana closing election hata kazi zilikuwa na ukora mingi because of they believe their image is bigger than anything. Okay? So hata Kenya tunaweza sema hata we ukirigi ushinde tunaiclose hivyo. Tunasema hakuna maneno mingi and it will be good. It will be good.
So the PK is stop making things this simple.
It is that simple. Njiru, una complicate nini? Kwani America election zao zinakuanga mzuri? I know you like trying to show us indicate. Wagondi wakubwa duniani ni hawa America. Ndio wagondi wa nini, lakini wanakubalingi ugondi yao, wanaikava. Alafu inakuwa hivyo because hawataki kuosha their dirty linen. Unaona? Wanaformalize kila kitu. Kama ni madawa, mahali madawa inatumika zaidi duniani ni wapi? Huku na ni business iko formal huku, lakini wanajidai wanapigana nao nini na nini na ndio hao wana deal nazo hivyo. Yeah? So ni kukubali tu kuformalize. Kama Kenya tunaweza formalize corruption na tunaweza formalize elections, ukirig yule ana pesa mingi arig basi, na tunasema inaishia hivyo. Ama tufanye kama Uganda, tukubali kuna hizi issue zile za Moi pia unaweza kuwa declared bila kupingwa. Unaona? Kulikuwa, I don't know whether ulikuwa unajua hizo vitu za Moi. Ilikuwa unaweza sikia Moi ameenda bila kupingwa, Njiru pahali fulani umeenda bila kupingwa, na umesikia Uganda pia walikuwa na those kind of things. We can have that and save mwananchi from all those what you have seen hapo wanapigwa wakiwa kwa line and all that. And by the way, if I was to rise up to the opposition level huku kwa kina Kalonzo, I would start spreading that. Niseme tu kama a certain things will not be met, hakuna haja ya kung'ang'ana kupingana na Ruto. Kama already sasa mumesema Mbere there was no rigging, Malava there was no rigging, IBC chairman alisema there was no foul play. Njiru, hiyo ya jana juzi huwezi sahau. That was the IBC chairman alisema there was no rigging. So what are you talking about as people? What are you saying? If the body that imesimamia election inasema there was nothing and even there was no violence.
Okay. I'm now coming almost to the closure of our show tonight, but nataka sasa kukuuliza a very pertinent question. Unless kama ile video ulikuwa unasema utatuwekea hapa, kama uko nayo utaniwekea hapa niicheze, so that it can also give us a thought process as well. Now we know that now we are in the most important year of election cycle ya Kenya. Now that we have agreed that we will do an election, Stony PK, we have agreed we will do an election, and the opposition has also been carried by that emotion that we will do an election. Now the question is this: is there a way in which we can prepare ourselves and plan ourselves and prevent the viper, Mr. William Ruto, from either rigging it, stealing it, declaring himself whatever he wants to do? We have agreed we are going to an election. Is there a way out in that process whereby we can still be on the pole position and still command a lead in that election? Or we are going to the chopping board of Mr. William Ruto na apange venye anataka? Or if we are able to have a serious collaborative moment in Kenya where the united opposition is very rigid na itakuja ipasuliwe na pesa ya Ruto as he is planning to do, can we be able to frustrate Ruto through unity of purpose whereby we can say tunajua huyu mtu ni mdedri, lakini tukishikana na tumobilize watu pamoja we can cause scare to him? So Stony PK, what do you think is the collaboration point of the united opposition? Or nile tu story ya unakimbizana na msena na unajua ni poagu? Is it like a giant moment we are dealing with, or it's a giant which we can slay when it comes to matters election. Nimeona umeweka video, acha kwanza nikuwekee. I think kuna ni kama unafaa kuiguza na huko pande yako ama ni aje Stone PK? I don't have any voice ama I think you might be forced to do the same thing you did yesterday. Stone PK, sauti.
Wakianza kukula wakiwa ndani ya serikali wanafikiri Waluya wanakula. Hapana. 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 Nyinyi mkikula kuleni ya saa hii. 2027 Waluya watajipanga wakuwe kwa meza. Na wale wanataka support ya Waluya, taarifa iwafikie ndio hii. Wale wanataka Mluya asimame na wao, munisikie na munisikie mzuri sana. Munisikie. Munisikie. Mimi nakasirishwa sana. Mimi ni Mluya. Ukikata hapa utaona jogoo inatembea. Yale mambo yanaendelea hapa, ndugu zetu wakienda maendeleo, huko kwingine maendeleo inaendelea sana. Lakini hapa kwetu hakuna maendeleo. Hapa kwetu barabara zikikuja ni za milioni 100. Mumeona juzi rais amekuwa Kiambu, barabara ni ya bilioni 4 kuendelea mbele. Barabara zetu tuko nazo hapa ni zile bado Rais Uhuru Kenyatta ulituachia hapa. Tuambiane ukweli, katika hii mkataba mambo ya Waluya ni nini? Mheshimiwa Gumo umesema mambo na nikakusikia mzuri sana. Sisi kama jamii ya Waluya, wale ambao wanakula sahi, kuleni na hao wananchi wafurahi. Kuleni na mkule na mnyamaze. Watu wawili watatu wakianza kukula wakiwa ndani ya serikali wanafikiri Waluya wanakula. Hapana. 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 Nyinyi mkikula kuleni ya saa hii. 2027 Waluya watajipanga wakuwe kwa meza. Na wale wanataka support ya Waluya, taarifa iwafikie ndio hii. Wale wanataka Mluya asimame na wao, munisikie na munisikie mzuri sana. Munisikie. Munisikie. Mimi nakasirishwa sana. Mimi ni Mluya. Ukikata hapa utaona jogoo inatembea.
Aya, Stone PK, you can react to what you have said and upinzani.
Initially you announced something before hii tunaweza funga na hiyo unajua tulikuwa tucheze earlier pale tulikuwa tunazungumza juu ya vile ODM na watu wanasema wako serikali. Huyu MP ameitoa vizuri clearly. We huko ndani kula ni unakula peke yako saa hii. Na hizo ndio, that is the disease we have. Disease ile umesema sasa watu wananunuliwa. Yani mtu mmoja akiingizwa kwa serikali, yani mtu ameingizwa kukula. It's corruption. It's being bought. They are not there because of the will of the people. And he has compared it very well. Nyinyi mnasema mko kwa serikali, lakini ikiwa ni miradi, juu mna claim mmeenda kwa serikali ndio mlete miradi. By the way, is that the way it's supposed to be? That I have to be in government for part of Kenya to be developed? That whole narrative has to be, it has to end. And people, some scholars should be thinking on how that will be strengthened. And that's why some people say if the constitution was to be strengthened properly, I mean, implemented properly, because it is very good, okay, iko na devolution, then you would not have this kind of nonsense. At sasa unaingiza watu wawili kutoka Embu, ilakuwa sasa Embu iko nini, na ndio wanaenda kulobi. The governors, the worst thing that has happened to Kenya is that even after devolution, we got the worst of governors, okay? People who have squandered that money. Otherwise, you would not be in this or to being bought kuingia kwa serikali. That's my take on that.
So hebu nikuuliza kwa hiyo story ya ODM, do you think because that is not what Ruto is doing, Ruto is saying that now he has tested a script of division in a community using excessive money. Do you think hiyo script ya Ruto ya kutumia excessive money can work elsewhere, or Kenyans are already understanding it and they can also understand some of these artificial buffoonery attacks in the rural community? Ni pesa imemwagwa, sio kupenda kwao. Can people understand that, or they will allow Ruto to continue using money to cause division in all communities in Kenya?
They will allow Ruto to do that because on top of that, Ruto ana rig elections, unaona, ana create hiyo perception, alafu anatumia nguvu. So watu hawana nini, watu hawana, otherwise unaona kulikuwa narrative that endeni mkule kwa kiosk mtarudi nini. People went to vote and they voted, their vote never counted. Ruto still rigged. That is what I believe. Although that's a narrative inasemekana, Njiru, Kenya is tiring. It's tiring. It's tiring.
Yeah, that one is quite unfortunate because taifa letu, we have to think heavily. We have to think heavily. Na hii 2026 ni mwaka wa kujipanga sasa. Huu ni mwaka wa kujipanga vibaya sana. Sikujua ya kwamba fireworks zinachomanga manyumba. Hebu niwaoneshe hii story niliona kwa TV leo nikashtuka sana. Kwani sisi tuna celebrate ma fireworks aje as we finish our story today?
Kibiriti ilikuwa hapo kwa meza. Sasa akaakisha hiyo yenye kulikuwa na kadogo Kenya alikuwa nako, kumbe aliakishia huko bedroom. Sasa mimi nikasikia kitu ikifanya tu. Dakika kidogo tena nikasikia ingine. Harufu ya moshi, sasa nikaanza kusikia kitu inachomeka. Nikaingia jikoni kwanza, nikapata jikoni kukukilia. Sasa vile niliingia bedroom ndio nikapata mattress imeshika moto. Moto umewaka kwa kitanda. Nikajaribu kushindwa vile nitazima, nikatoka nje mbio. Nikaambia jirani yangu, nikatoka nikakutana na mwanaume mwingine hapo nje, nikamwambia kuja nisaidie kwangu kumewaka moto. Kufika huyo mwanaume akaniambia kuna vile tutakusaidia, hii moto ni mingi. Vile nilirudi hivi kujaribu kutoa niokoe vitu, moshi ikanipiga, nikaona nitazira. Tulikuwa tumejipanga tupeleke mtoto shule, vitu zote zimechomekea kwa nyumba, hatujui tutaanzia wapi. Ndio mwaka imeanza, yani sijielewi, hatujielewi tutaanzia wapi. Tuko confused. Mkipenda tu tusaidie kwa chochote chenye mtakuwa nacho.
Mimi mwaka wangu umeanza vibaya, sababu na sio mimi peke yangu, nasema kwa nuclear family yangu, mimi nikiwa baba na kuna bibi na kuna watoto. Umeanza vibaya sababu hakuna mtu akona kitu hata kidogo.
I think it's recommendable that the fireworks should be removed from the shelves so that we avoid children continuing buying them and maybe trying to do whatever they didn't do as far as they didn't buy those fireworks. They can go maybe start experimenting. And as we have seen today, it might bring some danger because it's an allegation that the fire today was caused by fireworks by a child.
Very frustrating. Hiyo ni nyumba imechoma. Hebu nionyeshe hii picha ya Rachel Ruto, nasikia ati alikuwa amevaa magogos noma sana. Alafu tutoe.
Waliofika makatibu wa tabaka mbalimbali.
Sunglasses at night in Eldoret. While the country crossed into 2026, one image froze Kenya's political internet. First Lady Rachel Ruto, dark shades on, full night events, unshaken. On the evening of December 31st, 2025, at the Grand Eldoret State Lodge, President Ruto prepared to deliver his New Year's address to the nation. Beside him, his wife, First Lady Rachel Ruto, elegant in a vibrant kitenge outfit. But what caught everyone's eye were the sleek dark black sunglasses patched on her face, even as the indoor lights gleamed brightly. As the cameras rolled and the president spoke of hope and progress for 2026, Rachel smiled serenely, unfazed by the night. Whispers spread among the aides. Why the shades indoors? Is she channeling her inner celebrity? Was it fashion, faith persona branding, stage lights, image control, or pure power symbolism? Because in Kenyan politics, nothing is ever just an outfit. From hats to wristbands, Bibles to briefcases, everything is messaging. Netizens laughed. Others wondered what she was shielding. Her eyes, the lights, or the conversation. At Sadiq Shaban posted, how will anyone know if Rachel Ruto, the wife of Kenyan President William Ruto, is okay? Who can't see that she's going through a rough patch with her eyes and possible face? Who will speak for her and assure the nation that she's okay? Is everything alright at home, Chebet? At Prime Media Kenya posted, why does Rachel wear sunglasses at night, hustlers? Ama amegongwa jicho jana.
In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, we want to thank you because of your goodness. We thank you because of your mercy.
Later that night, the couple moved to the lively Pamoja concert at Eldoret Sports Club, where thousands gathered under the stars for the crossover.
Hakuna mahali sheria imesema kwamba wale ambao wanashindwa waingie kwa serikali. Raila mwenyewe alipanga na Ruto wakaingia huko, lakini sisi watu wa Azimio tulipaki nje ya serikali, maana policies zetu na programs zetu na za Ruto hazifanani. Hatuwezi kwenda kwa serikali kwenda kutekeleza programs za Ruto ambazo hatukuambia wananchi kwa tunaenda kutekeleza. Na because mnasiona sisi wengine tupaki ndani ya upinzani, hatujafanya makosa watu wetu. Lakini serikali inakasirika ikiona kwamba wewe uko ndani ya upinzani na unaikosoa. The responsibility of the opposition ni kukosoa serikali. Ama namna gani? Wale watu ambao wako ndani ya serikali wako na jukumu ya kusifu serikali na policy zake, no problem. But for us we tell them you are wrong here. Kama tungekuwa na serikali tungefanya hivi. Kwa machani na sisi, we are just fulfilling what the constitution says. Na kuna watu ambao walipigana na wakapinga hii katiba ambao wanaitaka. Walipinga. Mudavadi juzi anasema kwamba tukienda kupiga kura tufanye referendum ili tuweke cheo ya prime minister ndani ya katiba. Yeye mwenyewe is occupying an unconstitutional office. Hata kama kwa hiyo ofisi hiyo. And is the last person to lecture us mambo ya katiba. Ama namna gani? Sisi tunajielewa kama Wakenya and we know where we are going. So serikali relax. Serikali relax, wajua kwamba huku nje kuna watu ambao wana policies na programs ambazo ni nzuri za kutoa Kenya kwenye shimo ipeleke mahali. Sasa unajua rais amekuja baraza la mawaziri karibu mara 3. Akaenda akataka Raila amsaidie. Sasa Raila amekufa. Huyu rais anasaidiwa na nani? Siko matatizo yangu. Tukisema iko matatizo Kenya is not because we hate Ruto. We just hate the way he's running government. And all of us belong to this country by right. Hakuna mwingine atakana kupingia mwingine hewa katika taifa la Kenya. This one I tell them until my last breath. Sitaomba mtu ruhusa kwa party katika taifa la Kenya. Na sitaomba mtu ruhusa kuongea masuala ambayo yanahusu watu wetu. There is no shame in being united. Tunakuwa pamoja, tuongee na wengine pia ambao wako pamoja, tuwe serikali. Ama namna gani? Hivi ndio kupatia watu kwa mifuko is not enough. We want development, real development. Tunataka tupate kazi, barabara zijengwe, tupate maji. Sisi hapa Trans Nzoia tumesema kwamba hatutaki mambo ya affordable housing, tunataka industries. Ama namna gani? Watuletee industries ziajiri watoto wetu. Ama namna gani? Tujenge industry, watu wapate kazi, wajenge nyumba wenyewe. Ama namna gani? Sasa
Stony PK, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Nataka kukuletea West Africa. Sijui kama umesikia the three nations of West Africa ni kama wamewekea Marekani sanctions. Hiyo wewe.
Sijasikia hiyo.
Wameweka some travel restrictions. Anyway, wacha usikie from them wenyewe alafu you react.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year to you, and thanks for joining us on the program. I am Precious. Let's start off in Africa, where Mali and Burkina Faso have announced reciprocal travel restrictions on United States nationals following Washington's decision to impose a permanent visa ban on citizens of both countries. In separate statements, the two West African nations said the action was based on the principle of reciprocity, after the U.S. expanded its travel restrictions to include them under the new immigration policy effective today, January 1st. Mali's foreign ministry expressed regret that the decision was taken without prior consultation, disputing the security concerns cited by the U.S. and suggesting other motivations behind the move. Burkina Faso's Foreign Affairs Minister Karamoko Jean-Marie Traoré described the U.S. action as inconsistent with sovereign equality and mutual respect, confirming that equivalent visa measures would now apply to American nationals. The U.S. says the expanded policy is driven by national security concerns, including identity management and visa overstay issues. Mali and Burkina Faso are among more than 20 countries affected. Despite the diplomatic fallout, both countries or both governments say they remain open to cooperation and provide based on mutual respect and reciprocity. And joining me live in the studio to discuss more on this is African Affairs analyst Victor High. Is not a stranger to the house. Good to have you join us.
Always a pleasure. Happy New Year.
Same to you once again. Issues rising, but this time not driven by our own issues here, but America's visa ban in some countries, and most of them African countries, affected by some of the restrictions. But we're seeing that some countries are responding. Chad, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali have responded with, an outright visa ban as well, in accordance with the principle of reciprocity. But what do you make of this and the impact it will have when you look at the flow of visitors from both countries?
Okay. In the absence of an arbiter, international arbitration, arbitrator, let me use that language, for when countries are interacting among themselves, reciprocity is a very powerful tool. It is quid pro quo, do me, I do you. You understand what I'm saying? It creates respect. It creates balance in relationships. It helps countries maintain their sovereignty. It also helps countries to respect agreements and the like, whether it is trade or diplomacy and all that. You give me immunity, I give you immunity. Okay? You allow my citizens to come with free visa, I allow your citizens to enter visa free, and all of that. So there is nothing wrong with what the silencers and some countries have done, because it is in line with best international practices in diplomacy. If you say that you are restricting my citizens, it's also my right to be able to do the same to you. Now the question may be who stands to lose more at the end of the day. These are some of the things that probably people will be looking at and asking. But the truth is that it hurts both ways. Some of these countries are very critical minerals. Okay, and so we cannot pretend that the restrictions, even though they didn't mention trade, but trade is done by human beings as well. Sometimes you need to physically go to do your negotiations and all of that. So it is something that is bound to affect all parties. And I think that if as many countries as have been restricted also apply this principle of reciprocity, all sides will feel it. And like I said, it will breed respect, so that you know, I'm a sovereign nation, you're a sovereign nation. If you feel I can't come to you, also you're also welcome to come to my place.
There has to be impact more on one side, and I'm thinking perhaps maybe Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Chad perhaps will feel more impact. When you also consider that they still have pockets of humanitarian workers, if not pockets, they have a lot of humanitarian workers from the US in those countries. This has to have some level of impact on humanitarian assistance, doesn't it?
Well, you might argue so, but in a multipolar world such as we're in right now, there's no one country that has exclusivity to whether AIDS workers or humanitarian workers or all that anymore. No. People are able to look at not just in the direction of the US. Some have the option of looking at China. You may say those ones don't do much of humanitarian work, you know, but there are other things they do. There are Russians on the other hand, and there are other countries as well that they have good relations with. You know, sometimes if one door does not close, others don't open, other doors will not open. And so sometimes when you are enjoying a relationship with one country, it also helps countries sometimes discover what they have themselves. So yes, it might appear like, oh, humanitarian, but we have depended on the West for too long. When you say humanitarian workers, okay, don't forget there is extraction. The relationship sometimes is such that it's not even properly balanced. You know, it's very extractive. Some of these Western nations come and they take out of either from the minerals on ground or from, you know, resources that are local. So it's a balance. The relationship is sometimes even skewed one-sided in favor of the West more than this country. If you look at the Sahelan states, for instance, what they have, they're able to take care of themselves now. If Niger, for instance, lithium, what they were getting in cents from France before this cutoff, what they were getting maybe about 2 or 3 cents, they started getting about $100 and something. For the same, they were getting like 2 or 3 cents. That imbalance. Of course, with that kind of money, you can get any humanitarian thing you want. You know, you don't need to depend on anyone.
Especially because this country is most times, even in terms of population,
yes,
they don't have as much, you know, population as we do.
No, they don't.
And so, but let's also talk about the statement from, I think it was Mali, that said the accusations or allegations of the United States saying that, look, it's about national security concerns and we're not seeing some level of transparency from these countries, doesn't reflect the situation on ground in their country. And they are talking about another kind of motivation, you know, or motive rather, you know, from the US government. Do you sense that this is beyond national security? There is something more?
Okay, let me go a step further. Mali also said that they were not consulted. I mean, you cannot shave my head behind my back. You know, the principle of natural justice presupposes that you must hear from both sides.
If the US really was taking this decision based on national security,
yes,
do you need to consult the other country, you know, when you're thinking of your own national security and interest?
No. See, first of all, they said there are concerns that people are not properly vetted, there are no proper identities and all that. You have an embassy on ground. So Mali is saying, if you ever had any such concerns, did you bring it to our attention? And Mali is saying no, that there was no prior discussion, nothing of that sort was raised. And in any case, I've not heard of a Malian bomber in the US, neither have I heard of a Burkina Faso bomber or shooter in the US. Permit me, I'm not saying I have access to all news, but I'm sure neither have you, because these things will be prominent. Americans kill Americans every day, it's no big news. But when one African is involved in a gang, it is that Africa that you hear about. Even if he's an African, an American of African descent, that's when they will emphasize where he comes from, even if he's a second or third generation. I mean, so as I say, where is the balance? So that argument really, I think Mali does have an argument there, so the argument is that unless there are other motives, you know, so, and of course, you're not going to, you cannot say what they say is not totally true, because of course, the West, as you know, particularly the US, France, and the rest, are not particularly happy with the fact that the Sahelian states are taking their matters into their hands right now, and they are becoming truly independent for the first time in their history.
And where does this leave that that relationship? Because these countries have been pivoting so very glaringly to Russia, and with this latest tit for tat, where does this leave the relationship? Well,
okay, so the issue of pivoting depends on who your friends are. We talked about reciprocity. So if you treat me well, then I'm friends with you. But if I don't feel that I'm getting what I want from you, and under the same principle of reciprocity, I go to Kazakhstan or go to whatever country it is, Poland, and Poland treats me with respect, they're my friends. And that's at the heart of reciprocity. It creates balance, it creates respect, it creates, it balances international relations. You understand? And so if for instance, a country in the West is being aggressive or they're aggressors, you go to where you are welcomed as friends. If a country opens its arms, under the same principle of reciprocity, you embrace them. And that's what it is, simply. It's not about whether, you want to choose this or that. You respond to how much people open their arms to you. If people say, look, visa-free, come to my country, I also give you visa-free, So if you say, okay, trade, we remove all tariffs, your goods can come in free, I'll do the same thing. So that's what reciprocity. So at the heart of everything is reciprocity. Both the friendships, the relationships, trade, and all of that.
Let's come to Nigeria, because we're seeing these countries where this principle is not being followed through. You find that most of them are countries with military, governments. But here, the first time we had I think it was the restriction on the reversal of the 5-year visa for Nigerians. The Nigerian government also reciprocated. But now with the latest restriction, I'm not sure if we have followed that principle of reciprocity.
No, Nigeria never respected reciprocity. When the US was giving us 2 years visa, not even the 5 years and all that, we were busy giving them 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. I know, because I have clients and friends too who apply for visas. Nigeria was not reciprocating, And
the then, so when they began,
it was when they, when they even made it 5 years and then decided to rescind it and all that. You see, Nigeria was not reciprocating. Nigeria just took it for granted. They never respected that aspect. And so when the US decided to strike back, then we suddenly woke up.
So we do not have as much leverage now as the Sahelian countries to say, look, let's also reciprocate in terms of the
because we were not respecting international that principle of reciprocity on our own. Nigeria's visa is one of the most difficult to get. If you're an outsider, you would know. It's not as easy. It's easier to get an American visa than to get a Nigerian visa to come to Nigeria.
And we have more. So how should we? Because we have more people from here going there. I don't know how many, Burkinabes and how many Malians travel to the US, but Nigerians travel.
Yes,
we travel all around the world. And so, in terms of how we approach this with President Trump, what should we do? Negotiation? Should we do reciprocity?
Well, you cannot do it on your own terms. If people have been giving you something and all the while you just took it for granted, it's like, I'm always giving you gifts. You don't reciprocate, and then suddenly now I decide I'm not giving you, then you want to start giving me. It will be on my own terms this time. I don't necessarily have to reciprocate. If you want to continue. If you don't, you don't. And so reciprocity is also based on what you think you stand to gain from the relationship. Okay, so we're not in a position right now. We don't have the bargaining chips right now. We just take whatever they serve us the way it is, because as it is, what bargaining chips do we have? What do we have that you would say the US needs so desperately right now? What are we bargaining with? So it will have to be at their convenience. When they feel like taking it off, they take it off. But so you have to have bargaining chips in international diplomacy in order to be able to, what do you have? What are you offering? Okay, so, but the good thing is we don't want to ruffle feathers, because there are other areas where we benefit as well. So yes, that's what it is. But remember, it doesn't affect travel at the highest levels. Diplomats can still travel. You can travel with diplomatic passport, I think with official passports as well. At that level, it doesn't affect anything. So the restrictions are not at that level. So government business can still be done. Nigeria and America are still very good friends and trading partners. So it is what it is. Unfortunately, it's the grass that is suffering in this matter.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we do have to leave it there. We'll continue to follow. I mean, the Sahelian states are doing.
Yeah, so Nipike, you can react to that Sahel information, reciprocal tariffs to America, courage. I don't think Kenya can do such a thing. Hiyo ndio inaitwa uhuru. Kama kuna uhuru ni uhuru kama hiyo.
Kenya iweze.
Aya, you can react to that as we close the statement. Nimekuwekea hiyo, that was for you. You can react to that.
Yeah, mimi unajua nachukianga sana mtu akiwa inaitangwa power over. Sipendi kabisa, sipendi kulaliwa, sipendi mtu ananyanyasa wengine and all that. Mimi kwanza nitafurahi siku moja, siku ile nitasikia hii nchi neutraliziwa kabisa, inakuwa kama zile zingine. So mimi nafurahi hao vile wanafanya because wacha niseme kama Museveni. That Museveni is so proud kwao, anasemanga hata mjinga anaweza ishi. Na hii independence syndrome hii ambayo tulijiwekelea ni mwiba wa kujidunga. Because tangu tupate uhuru na nini, mbona kama ni dawa, kama ni industry, kama mna minerals na hizi, mbona hatuja grow? Haya, mbona hatuwezi kugrow na tudepend sisi wenyewe 50 states? Tuinuane. Kama sasa kuna kuanga na ADB. ADB ndio inakuwa World Bank ya Afrika. Unaona? Yaani nchi ya Afrika ina kila kitu. Ina kila kitu. Ile iko tu ni hizi ujinga za hawa viongozi ambao wamejilazimisha kuweka hapo. Hiyo tu ndio shida. Na hao ndio wa Amerika wanafurahia. Wanajua sisi ni idiots. Watu wakiitwa ati sasa ukialikwa kwenda White House mazee unaenda, yani inakuwa ni kitu moja kubwa sana in your lifetime. Since when? Unaado mtu ni kama Mungu. Inasaidia na nini? That is where we to the end wrong. That's why I admire Burkina Faso ile deadly. Yeah. Umesikia hiyo example? Ile gold walikuwa wanapewa senti sijui 2-3, sasa wanauza dola 100 na. Can you imagine that kind of a thing? Ni nini hawawezi fanya hata kuestablish pesa kureplace hao watu wanajidai atu wanasaidiwa humanitarian. Of course, although I worked for that for humanitarian thing for a long time, but it is so disheartening ukiangalia what was happening. Ukishajua hizo deals zinafanywa, it is very bad. Ndio unakuwa unasoma kama ile kitabu inaitangwa bottomless aid. You know, unaambiwa kumeletwa dola $2-3 million zimesinkiwa kwa hii support and all that. Na ukienda kuangalia nyingi zimerudi tu kule zilitoka in one form or the other. So basically inahitajika hii West Africa, na ndio itatuokoa by the way. Uokozi wa Afrika itatoka upande kwetu. Sisi tunajidaiji tuko mbele, sijui tuko wapi. Hakuna mahali tuko. Sisi ni watu wa kulamba tu nini. Sitaki kutaja. Hiyo tu kulamba, tunajidai. Unasikia hao nani wanasema? Mkenya ukimkataza kuingia majuu hizi za huku US, hata lala, hata faint. Nilikuwa naona pale embassy ya Nairobi. Niona watu wakifaint juu mtu ameambiwa imekataliwa, anatoka karibu commit suicide. Mtu anataka kujinyonga. Juu ameambiwa apewi nini na nini. Yaani mpaka hawa watu wanasikiaga visupu, wanasikiaga poa sana. Na kumbe ni biashara wako nayo. Ni biashara. Ndio nakwambia hii ndio nchi ina ugondi kubwa sana duniani. Na unasikia umeapply nini na nini, hiyo pesa yote umeandika, unafika hapo tu unaambiwa one word, that decline. How wana expect mtu anafilaje? Ana expect mtu anafilaje? So mimi na applaud West Africa. They should do that, and that's why I mourn Gaddafi mpaka wa leo, because of course you become more vulnerable. Sasa wakishajua vile ile plan uko nayo ni ya kuwafanya wanini ya kuwafanya wasikue wakijisikia supu vile wanajisikiaga. And by the way, hakuna usaidizi hao watu wanasaidiaga watu, hakuna cha bure, hakuna ati sijui nini. Kila kitu unapata kulingana na uwezo wako, either ni deni ambayo utalipa ama wanakudrape, they are raping you, kuna vitu wanakunyang'anya huku chini kwa chini. Hakuna cha bure, Sasa ni vizuri tuanini tufanyaje, tu support. Na unaona vile Burkina Faso inaendelea. By the way, kesho tutacheza documentary. Umecheza za Uganda, kesho tutacheza na hii swali umesikia ati press wakisema ati by the way, unajua sasa hizo serikali ni za jeshi. Kwani jeshi ni kunguni? Jeshi ni wananchi wa hiyo nchi, na mambo inaenda nini alaji. Tunaambiwa ngati jeshi iwezi tawala Hussein. Hata zamani, hata ukienda kwa kina Shaka Zulu, jeshi ndio ilikuwa inatawala. Huwezi tawaliwa na mtu hawezi kulinda nchi. Ati this is ati ni nchi ya army ndio wako didi, but they are doing so well. Sasa unataka jeshi isitawale, mlete akina Mundigi na akina Wakasufuria na akina sijui wanaitwa nani Si hata afadhali nikuwe na Major General ndio MP wangu ndio in charge nini, kuliko nikuwe na some single mother. Mtu anakuja agenda yake ni single mother, ati hiyo ndio agenda, ndio nini inaitangwa aje ndio manifesto ya kuuzia wananchi. Unajua mimi ni wa single mother, unajua mimi nililelewa hapa, nilienda shule bila viatu, unajua mimi nilikuwa naenda shule bila chakula, unajua nilikuwa nonsense. Ana ananiambia nimesikia rumors. Hadi tuambie hiyo rumor. Yeah. Tuache maneno ati sijui ilikuwa nini na nini. Saa hii Kenya tunauziwa ati hatuwezi survive bila hawa watu. Yaani Kenya watu watadedi wote Njiro. Saa hii hata mkifukuzwa nyinyi wote wale mko huko majuu mpeleko Kenya mtadai. Haya, hii majobu mnadu huko majuu ni slavery tupu kabisa. Hakuna mtu anafanya nini ana enjoy vile angeenjoy Kenya akiwa anadu job Kenya. Unapiga job alafu unapiga sherehe. So the best ni tutafute mtu, hata kama ni jeshi itatusimamia hiyo nchi irudi, mtu apige job kawaida. After 5 mimi napiga sherehe zangu. Hapo unapiga majobu 3 majobu 4 ndio usurvive. What are we talking about? Alafu unaambiwa Kenya haiwezi kusurvive bila nini. Kudos West Africa.
Okay, so Stony PK, we can end our show tonight. We prepare tomorrow for a more elaborate show na hizo vitu za West Africa, as you say. Is that okay?
That's cool.
Okay, thank you. Have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Watu wametuunga. Tomorrow we could start a little bit early. Stony PK, through your authority, naweza pata time 10 PM kesho.
10 PM yetu.
2 PM. 2 PM.
Oh, 2 hour time. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll have time or not, but you let me know. If you don't have time, we can always extend it up front.
It's our. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nawashukuru wote, akina Ani kwa Irini, akina nani, akina
na hii mwaka tujitume. Hii ni mwaka ya kung'oa Kasongo.
Kasongo must go.
Yeah, he must fall now.
Paulo Kisiangasha aliniambia niende nikasimame aone kama naweza toa Mundigi.
Mundigi doesn't need any competition. Mundigi ashajitoa.
Nitakuchezea clip, amewaka moto kama Ruto. Anasema ule mtu atajaribu, hao wote wanajaribu.
Hiyo naweza tegea. Leta hiyo clip bwana. Si ucheze saa hii Stone PK. Hiyo tunaweza ona.
Sijui ni vile sijui iko kwa nilitumiwa na group ya
Araumandhande
anasema hakuna mtu anaweza mdhubutu bwana.
Hakuna mtu anaweza ngoa
ati
na hiyo dasi ametoa wapi? Ni Kasongo anamwambia usijali wewe bwana, kura tutakuundia.
Exactly.
Wewe usijali bwana, kura tutakuundia bwana. Wewe usijali.
That is it.
Tutakuundia wewe bwana, cheza na sisi bwana. Sisi ndio tuliokuwemo. That one doesn't take an only come after umepigwa hiyo comfort. Sawa?
Yeah.
Are you senior and ready to date?